Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Let's go, Dodgers. That's not how it plays, but you guys kind of get the point. Welcome to the Joe Soro experiment. This is the Dodgers Fast Pitch. I'm your host, Joe Soro, and the plan was to come back tomorrow, but Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers said, Joe, and my people, of course, and I call you all my people because you are my people, and I love you, and I wouldn't be here without you. But the Dodgers just know how to do it. What a game, what a game, what a game. I was at Disneyland on the second leg of what will be a third leg. The third leg is going to be probably in a month. But on a second leg, and I had never done this in my life, never been at Disneyland in back-to-back days. So we are at California Adventure. That's part of the package. You spend one day in Disneyland, the other day in the California Adventure. But the fam said, I don't think we want to stay all day and all night. I think we're kind of taxed. We're ready to go. So coincidentally, perfect timing. I mean, perfect timing. It was right around that sweet spot around 4 o'clock. So by the time we would start getting out of the park, start going to the car, getting ready to go, I was just getting ready to start watching Dodger baseball. I got this nice little claw thing on my steering wheel where I can just put my iPhone on and watch the game. So I ended up watching the game because there's a lot of traffic around that time going back from LA to Temecula. So I had a lot of, downtime, basically just being in traffic and, driving straight basically. So of course I'm sure most of us ended up watching the first couple innings and going, why isn't this team getting the damn ball where it needs to be on defense? It was one of those games where in most days, most evenings, most years, whatever you want to call it, you're just notching that thing up as, man, these guys are just not focusing. Maxie couldn't throw the ball correctly. Kike couldn't catch the ball on the bounce. He committed to one of the infield hits a little too early, a little too late. Kind of a no man's land. I wouldn't say he made a mistake there. It was just kind of a luck thing. And then of course Pages drops a fly out, which I think ended up being a double. I think they didn't count it as an error. But I think Pages, if you interviewed him, he'd say, yeah, that was I should have had that. Anytime a ball can hit the glove, in my book, that's an error. And even if it's your fault or not. But anyways, Dodgers just could not grasp defense the first couple innings. Dodgers went down 5-0 against the Atlanta Braves, and the Braves had looked like they were about to break out of whatever funk they have had here to start the season. They have not won a game yet. This looked like one that was going to go their way. However, there was frustration because Max Muncy had a kind of just a horrible start. He was kind of like the Atlanta Braves of the lineup, and it just looked like it kept continuing. He could not get anything going. He even got that torpedo bat the first 3 at bats, didn't get anything going there. But as the game went on, you started seeing what the Dodgers do. You saw Conforto, by the way. Props to Andrew, by the way, for getting Conforto. Conforto's starting to look like the left-handed Teo of 2024 via now 2025. Or I should say 2025 via 2024 Teo. So that might be that should seal. I mean, he's been doing a lot of other stuff too, but that should probably put another notch in that voting process where he should be executive of the year. And I'll get to other players that he's acquired that helped tonight that he should get a notch for those as well. But Edman hits a 2-run homer. If Conforto gets walked, Edman hits a 2-run homer. And I'll tell you this, it's easy to say it now because, this is what's happened. But when that home run went out, the first thing I thought of was these guys are going to come back. Now, I didn't know for sure. It just was a feeling. It might have not happened. But as soon as he hit that home run, I'm like, there's something with whatever's going on with this thing. And they're going to come back. Watch, they're going to go systematic. They're going to go 5-2, 5-3, and then eventually it ended up being 5-5, which I couldn't have been happier for someone to make it 5-5. They're in the 8th inning. Edman, even when he doesn't get a hit, had a productive out, moved everybody moved Ohtani to third, and moved, I think, Conforto to second. I think that was the setup. I'm sorry if I don't remember. I was too busy kind of getting excited. And then Snicker, who brought in, Conforto. I'm sorry. His previous pitcher, I forgot who it was, had a 2-0 count, and Snicker got rid of him and brought in Iglesias. And I'm like, wow, I haven't seen that move in a while, where you move that pitcher when you still got a count on the current batter. So what ended up happening was Iglesias threw that first ball. I said, there's no way Iglesias is not going to walk Conforto at this point. And of course, that's what happened. And after that, Edman hit a productive out, hit a grounder to first. Everybody moved to the second and third, 2 outs. And for some weird reason, Iglesias kept feeding Muncy down the pipe. And Muncy looked like he was sort of locking in on it, but he hasn't locked in on it all year. I think Iglesias said, I'm going to make sure I don't walk this guy either. So here we are. Muncy hits a 2-run double, ties it 5-5. And then all we have to wait now on, even if we don't get a score on the next pitch, on the next batter, and that was probably why. See, this is the thing, guys. Sometimes in baseball, a player's reputation is enough to ruin a game for the opposing team. Here's what I mean. So who hits in clutch moments more than anyone other than Ohtani? And, of course, Teo, right? At least, let's say, the guy that's not the regular guy, right? It's Kike. Kike was up the bat. So I think it was obvious that he made sure that he wasn't going to walk Muncy. He was going to make Muncy beat him, and he did. Because had he walked Muncy, then you're worried about Kike being, quote-unquote, clutch, which he has been clutch for a very, very long time for the Dodgers, whether it was in the playoffs or whether he does it in the regular season. Either way, he's clutch. He's that guy. He is him when it comes to those important at-bats. So there's a little bit of a struggle for Iglesias against Kike. Kike almost hits it out. Barely goes Carlton Fisk on a I can't remember if it was a changeup inside that he got a hold of, but it veered left, right, like maybe 3 feet off the left foul pole. And of course, that kind of, whenever you see a play like that where it's so close to a home run, a lot of times that juice that you got from it being almost a home run, it's hard to replicate that on the next, swing, which Kike actually did kind of get the bat on the ball and kind of had some chances to probably hit another couple balls, but then again, he ended up striking out. So now I'm sitting there. I had just gotten home like maybe about a half hour before, the 7th and 8th innings. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, please. I didn't know Dreyer was gonna come in at the top of the 9th. So, and I was very happy about that, by the way. Dreyer has been a very, very absolute just gem that he was doing well in spring training, but spring training and regular season baseball is a whole different ball game. But very, very happy that he was there in the top of the 9th, and of course ends up mowing down the next 3 batters and setting up what would be the 9th inning for Big Shohei Ohtani. So the first batter in the bottom of the 9th was actually Andy Pages. He ends up striking out. Iglesias is still pitching, by the way. And then, of course, Ohtani comes. And the first thing I said is, how is this not going to be bobblehead night for Mr. Shohei Ohtani and him not hit a game winner now? How is that not going to happen here? He has the knack for that. He has a knack for that. And without even finishing the thought in my head, boom. First pitch, Iglesias, I think, served I can't tell if it was a sinker or a fastball, but Ohtani takes it opposite field, and the game was a wrap. The Dodgers win 6-5 in a game where they were down 5-0 after 2 innings. So at this point, my Dodger friends and my friends in general, at what point is an opposing team going to understand that if you don't relentlessly score every inning, every other inning, you're not going to beat this team? And what's going on in the NL West? What the hell is going on in the NL West? The Padres are unbeaten. And here's the funny thing about this. If the Dodgers had lost tonight, they'd be in second place. They'd be in second place with a 7-1 record. Padres, I believe, are 7-0. Yeah. Padres are 7-0. And I think the Giants are 5-1. All the California teams are like balling right now. It's still the first week, so I'm not, I'm just saying, what's happened. But what a game. What a day. What a day. You wake up in the morning, everything is great. You just had a trip to Disneyland the day before. You get up now, you're going to do another day, hang out with the fam, have fun, eating food and eating ice cream and riding fun rides. And then after that, watch the Dodgers play the first couple innings and go, dang it, I think this might sort of be the night. But I said sort of because you just never know. And of course, Edman hits that home run, makes it 5-2. Not too long after that. Then at that point, I'm just saying, guys, just throw a couple of runs here, runs there. There's a lot of time left. And boom, here you go. The Dodgers win 6-5. And the other player I was talking about, guys, with Friedman is, my God, Mr. Yates, Kirby Yates. What is that guy? How the hell that guy was sending out? I mean, his splitter is ridiculous. And I got one more big props to, obviously this isn't an acquisition in the offseason, but I wanted to throw Kirby in there first because I have something else. I have a longer dissertation for this next one. But I mean, Kirby Yates, man, geez, he is just nails, baby. You got a chance to win this game. You didn't have to use Trident or Tanner Scott. Thank God. That this the riches of all riches, right? But let's give some props to Mr. Kasparius. Dodgers were bases loaded, or the Atlanta Braves were bases loaded with no outs. And Kasparius gets the next three batters out in absolute just needed execution. Strikeouts, pop-ups. I mean, he couldn't have. The first one was a pop-up that was close to Pages there in center field, and the Atlanta Braves didn't want to chance that. He wasn't too deep. He was kind of like in the middle. That was good. Then he struck out. I believe he struck out Riley. Yeah, struck out Riley, and then Olsen got popped up. My God, that right there added more drama to the fact that the Dodgers were probably going to end up winning this game. We're going by what we've seen, guys. We're going by what we've seen here. It's nothing other than that, right? We're going by what we've seen. There's no reason not to believe is not going to keep coming back no matter what happens. I mean, this is just unreal. It's just unreal. So, at this point, I'm going to enjoy tomorrow night's day off as a Dodger fan. The Lakers are going to be playing the Golden State Warriors, so we're going to be able to watch those guys do what they do. And what a way to enjoy a Thursday night. I mean, the Thursday night is going to be a very busy work day, but then it's going to clear out towards the end of the evening, and we get to just sit and watch the Lakers hopefully continue to, solidify that third seed, because the Denver Nuggets today lost a really bad game to the San Antonio Spurs at home. I think they're starting to look like they're finished, guys, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But right now, I'm going to see if I can get to some of your guys' posts here. Sorry if it took me so long. Let's see here. Okay. Sean. Is Sean on here? Where's Sean? Is Sean Grice here? Maybe not. Maybe. Aaron, you think the Dodgers can sweep the Phillies? I had said that if the Dodgers wanted to, I felt very, very good. If the Dodgers could get past Chris Sale yesterday, I thought they'd sweep Atlanta. Chris Sale was the only guy that I was like, if he ends up having a 6-7 inning shutout, then the Dodgers might have a problem there. But that didn't happen, and we ended up winning that game actually better than we did tonight. Let's see here. BC. Let me get to Craig. Are you done with Pages in center field? No, Craig, I am not. I got a little angry at Max Muncy today. Didn't make it vocal. I didn't, because I mean Jeff was at a concert tonight. Jeff and I were going back and forth on text messaging even before he went to the concert, and I didn't even mention it to him. And usually I just tell him everything. Usually when I'm irritated, I just said that the defense was just not playing well, basically. But the thing is, guys, here's the thing: where Pages may have not done well on that one play, he made up for it by kind of, because at first glance it looked like he had lost the ball in the air, and the fact that he was there probably allowed Atlanta not to tag up and score. So in a way, and maybe I'm pulling at strings here, but in a way they know he has a strong arm, and that kept. I can't remember who it was, but at third, and he didn't tag up and try to score. Now, if that was Kike, if Kike was playing center, which he does a lot sometimes when he's filling in, he would have tagged up, and I don't know, it probably would have been a score. So the fact that Pages was there on that short pop up, I think that saved the run. So that kind of covered Pages, not technical error, but the drop that he had. And even to some degree, I mean, there seemed to have been some kind of win there, because I think Olsen almost lost a pop-up in foul territory from it. So sometimes stuff happens, guys. This is 162 games. It's 162 games in a baseball season, and we're talking about more than double of what. A little less than double, but no, wait, double. Yeah, double, a little less than double than the NBA. And these things are going to happen. I think the reason why I was irritated more a little bit was because it was Max Muncy. Max Muncy's had such a horrible year so far. It was easy to kind of just go, damn it, Max, if it wasn't for you, we'd probably win this game, right? But Pages made up for it, and of course, Max made up for his 2 runs that he allowed on his error, because if he had made that throw a little bit better, that was the third out, and Blake Snell isn't down. Likely isn't giving up, 5 runs in the game, which, by the way, were all unearned. So I don't really. Snell struggles at the beginning of the year, but he didn't do his usual strikeouts today. But he should not have been anywhere near 5 runs in 2 innings. That wasn't his fault. The defense just was struggling, and luckily the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and they were able to make up for it. So again, props to Snell. Kind of battled through as best he could, and then of course Max Muncy and Pages and the whole crew ended up coming out and just playing team baseball, man. Great win. And I bet they feel real good on the feel good tonight, sleeping and getting ready to fly to Philly for a very, very fun matchup against the Phillies on Friday. Let's see, Aaron, what's up, brother? I simply smiled when Ohtani hit that out. I actually started screaming in the house. I was screaming. So what can you say, man? These are the moments you look for when you're a fan of your team and your team is just badass, man. Dodgers are badass, man. This is the best Dodger team I have ever seen. I just want them to be the best team that baseball has ever had, and we might see it. We might see it, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Search and Destroy, the Modfather, is here, folks. Search, thank you for being here, as always. Ohtani, just like the first pitch, bye-bye GG, and get the helicopter warmed up. Yeah, man, that's how it works. That's how it works, baby. That's how it works. Let's see. Blue Magic, what's up, bud? The West is strong in all sports. Usually the warm weather makes things a little easier for people, I think. Not all the time, but in this case, it's working. Chris, the art director. Hey, man, having a good time on your vacation, brother. I wanted to say what's up. Bobblehead night. Yeah, that's why you should have known. You should have known he was going to hit it out on that pitch because he's got the just the it factor for the dramatics. He hit a grand slam walk off for his 40-40. He had the greatest single game by a baseball player arguably ever, and he managed to get 50-50 in that game and was a hair away, a freaking ear hair away from having the cycle in that game. And for me, if he had gotten the cycle in that game, there would be no argument. It would have been the greatest game that ever existed for a single game by a baseball player. Let's see, where are we here? Going to catch up to all your guys' stuff. Let's see. Bottom of the lineup has been horrible. So, Craig, it's probably true, but I don't think this team has played its full starters yet. I don't think so. I don't think they've had their full lineup. So if they have their full lineup, it would be and of course Roberts is adjusting to the matchups of the pitchers, right? But to me, the standard lineup, let's say the real starting lineup, would be Shohei at 1, Mookie at 2, Freeman at 3, Teo at 4. Let's just say for this discussion, you're looking at even though he's probably the MVP right now. I don't know, man. They're all MVPs to me at this point, but Edmund would be 5. And then you'd have Will Smith at 6, Muncy at 7, Conforto at 8, and then Pages at 9, because you need him at center. So that's probably the starting lineup, like 100% if you're picking the top 9 that need to be playing, because they're the best at not just obviously hitting, but they need to, they need to be kind of valuable on the field as well. So someone like Pages, I'm sure that Roberts is going to probably figure that out depending on matchups. He hits left-handers very well. If it's a left-handed pitcher, he's definitely playing. Today, it was a righty, but you have to use him again because he's the only center fielder that you got that's doing what he's doing. And then you have Edmund, which, by the way, had an amazing play also on a third out at second. So Edmund needs to stay at second until Kim gets acclimated to regular Major League Baseball, which he's been doing pretty well down in AAA. So at least that's what I heard. So yeah, that's actually not even the starting lineup. It would probably be Ha-Seong Kim coming. Ha-Seong Kim. I'll get to that sports baby soon. By the way, I haven't had a chance to really look into the sports chat stuff, but I'll get there, guys. I appreciate it. But the starting lineup is going to be 100% when Kim gets back. Then he can be the second baseman, and then Edmund goes to center field. If Kim starts to hit and he's hitting on a regular basis, he will be the second baseman because he is a very good second baseman, and he's lightning fast. And the Dodgers can then do some scary stuff, especially if Ha-Seong Kim can get on base. I think what they could do there is keep him at 9. He'd be like a leadoff for Ohtani. I think ultimately that's what Roberts wants to do, getting him as a guy that can run in front of Ohtani. I mean, at that point, it's not even going to be. I mean, it's not even fair now. How the hell is that going to be fair when he starts to hit? So yeah, it's this is just an enrichment of riches, however you say that saying, right? And the Dodgers today actually, Esteury Ruiz, they picked up Esteury Ruiz today, whom led the AL in stolen bases in 2023. So now they have another speedster. He was designated for assignment by the A's. I know that they wanted to pick somebody else up instead of putting them setting them up for the minor. I don't know, dropping them down to the minors. I don't know. I have to look at the details on that, but because I've been gone all day and I've been just kind of reading updates. But the Dodgers just got someone who they can put at first when they want to get somebody at second and third pretty quickly, or if they have them at second, let's say a pinch runner. a little blooper can get him home right away, maybe in a tie game in the late innings. So again, props to freaking Andrew Friedman, man. Is just absolutely relentless in making sure he poaches every single chance of anything where you can use someone's massive talent in any particular area of baseball. Just amazing. Okay, let's see. We got to get Joe to 1K. You know, Search, it's I'm going to be doing some research on this. I am not going to wait a year or two for 1,000 subscribers. I am going to do I got to find out some more information, and I got to get to 1,000 here before the end of the summer. So that's kind of my goal. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. But I need to build this show, and I need to build this show much quicker than any show, because this needs to be, I need to be doing this on a regular basis. I mean, I'm going to be, balling out pretty much the whole way, but I want this thing to reach, and I want to be able to build this like a TV show / radio show. I'm not here to just babble and listen to myself talk. I want to be here to entertain, and I want to be here to have information or analysis of information that very few people out there can do. And of course, you guys are going to play a big part in that. And I appreciate that. Aaron, what's up, brother? Roberts can also put Edmund ninth again, and the team wouldn't miss a beat. See, and he has been doing that. I think he did that a couple games ago. Depending on the matchups, I think he does that. I mean, it's just brutal when you do that. Imagine having really 3 leadoff hitters to start an inning. So when the 8th batter is the last out the previous inning, you end up starting out the inning with Edman, Ohtani, and Betts. All guys that can hit, all guys that can run, and all guys that can hit home runs. That's the threat. How are you going to beat that, guys? How do you beat that? And then today, you didn't even have Edman at 9. You could have done that too. Oh, by the way, as if Edman hadn't already been playing well, there was a little bit of kryptonite in his left side, right? Hitting left. Oh yeah, that's gone now. He's already hit 2 home runs on the left side just by doing a little tweak, just by standing up a little bit more. So now, where you thought maybe you had an advantage against the Dodgers with Edman, now he's sending left-handed swings to the stands. As Marco from Tropoia said in Taken, I want to say this to the opponents. Good luck. See how dramatic that was? Probably would have sounded better on the radio without watching, but some of you guys who are listening to the Apple podcast, you heard it nice, didn't you? Anyways, let me get back to some of your guys' posts here. Aaron again, Edmund, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar. I mean, where do you relax there? Where do you relax? I mean, I'm watching, I'm reading that, and I'm getting uncomfortable. What is a pitcher thinking? So Edman has a single. Ohtani gives people heart attacks, right? He gets a walk. Now you have your first 2 leadoff hitters on base. Oh, by the way, then you got to deal with Betts and then Freeman and then Teoscar. And by the way, Teoscar hasn't even been hitting well today or this year. He hasn't hit well yet. He's had some clutch power hits, which is great. But he hasn't been hitting well. What's going to happen when he starts hitting well? It's going to be lights out even more. So, Dodgers are right now 8-0. This is the first time in Major League Baseball history that a defending champion has started the following year 8-0. They were tied earlier today, 7-0 to the 1933 New York Yankees. So the Dodgers have eclipsed that. Now, the Dodgers, as a franchise, actually have a better record to start a year. They were in Brooklyn in 1955, the year they won their first franchise title. They were still in Brooklyn in 55. They went 10-0 to start the season. To me, I want them to break that record. I want them to go 11-0 at the very least. Now, the crazy thing about that year, besides the fact that they won the championship and finally beat the Yankees after 5 straight losses in the World Series. Finally beat the Yankees in 7. And To start that year, the first 24 games, there were actually 22-2 to start that year. 22-2. And those two losses were both one-run losses. So you could not have come out the gate more dominating than the 1955 Brooklyn Dodgers. And they ended up, and it didn't go in vain. They started as well as you can start a season. I think it might be the best or one of the best. I haven't had a chance to see what might have been better than 22-2 to start a season. But for them to start that well and still win it all, it only adds to that the ambiance, the amazingness, the clutchness of a start like that. And hopefully the Dodgers have something similar here. I am not going to fault them if they end up losing, this next game against Philly, or even coming back 2-2 against Philly, just because it's the first road trip. You're playing off a lot of excitement from what just happened. Sometimes you can get a letdown on in games like this, although usually it's a letdown if there's a game the next day. The fact that they have a day off might play into their hands where they're not as emotionally tired after tonight. They're going to have a little bit of a break. They're going to fly to Philly and then kind of maybe relax a little bit and see what they can do. Yeah, Aaron, I got to 50 pretty quick. Again, thank you guys so much for subscribing. I'm not worried about the numbers right now. Honestly, I got to do some legwork here to get the name out, which means I got to do more shows with the Lakers and the Dodgers both in full tilt here, especially with the Lakers right now slowly getting back into the third seed, possible second seed still if there's a chance there with Houston. There's a lot of content that we can blow out here, and of course, as soon as the seasons are over the season is over in the NBA, you're going to run into the draft as well as free agency. So there's going to be a lot of activity there while the Dodgers are doing what they do. The Dodgers are why I actually started the channel, because I feel that originally I was just going to have the show be the Dodgers Fast Break, the Dodgers Fast Pitch, but then EJ Empire Jeff said, no, dude, you need to do your own show. You need to have your own branding and pump up what you do, pump up yourself. So I did that, and I'm doing that, and I'm going to continue to do it. And then, of course, the big discussions on here are going to be Dodgers, Lakers, and probably soon to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, and just sports in general too. It is going to be all sports, but I'll highlight obviously the Dodgers and the Lakers just because it's easy to do that, especially around this time. Yeah, and I won't be leaving the Lakers Fast Break either, by the way. I'll still be doing shows with the Lakers Fast Break. I'll do my best, guys. I'll do my best. Thanks, Sports Baby, guys. Sports Baby is my playback producer. I should say my playback engineer. Thank you for that, Sports Baby. He is opening up daily the playback channel. So if you guys want to watch the games, go ahead and go to the link below, and whenever the games are scheduled, he usually starts them up about 30 minutes before the game starts, before first pitch, and sometimes he might even go an hour. I don't know. I let him kind of decide on what he wants to do there. He'll play other games too sometimes. Sometimes we'll watch some NBA games. Sometimes we'll watch some other baseball games. But we are showing all the Dodger games. So if you can't watch somewhere, go ahead and join us on playback. Aaron Ektick, all NFL Joe, that's your sport. Aaron, it is. It really is. And it's hard for a lot of people who've been watching me on the Lakers Fast Break to really understand how big the NFL is for me. The NFL has taken a little bit of a hit for me, though, over the last probably 15 years. It's nothing like it was before then. When the NFL was absolutely, and again, the NBA and Major League Baseball were also, but the NFL was at a different level. The 2000s to me were the apex of my football fandom. As much as I loved learning football in the 90s, and as I was growing up in the 80s and writing papers for the NFL, wanting to go work for NFL Films when I was younger, all these things, the 2000s were the best decade of football I think that will ever exist. It was the best. You look at the teams between 2000 and 2009. Absolute, just epic teams, historic teams, amazing players. 80s had amazing players, 70s, 60s, all had amazing players. But the 2000s, I want you to look at this, hear me out on this. So 2000, you have the Baltimore Ravens that year, arguably the greatest single season defense that's ever existed. I know the Bears of 85 have an argument. I know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3 years later had an argument, but that team, I remember that team. They were pretty damn dominant. The Ravens had absolutely no offense. Absolutely no offense other than Jamal Lewis. That's it. They had nothing. They won that Super Bowl off their defense and nothing but their defense. Phenomenal team. Historic team just because of that defense. Then the 0-1 team, the Patriots, beat the greatest show on turf. And the Rams that year were, in a lot of ways, just as good as the 99 Super Bowl team they had. But they ran into the worst team they could have run into in the Super Bowl. At that time, Belichick and his genius, and of course, Tom Brady leading the team at the end of the Super Bowl to a field goal winning championship. And right out of the gate, like first two teams were, right? The Baltimore Ravens, historic, and even that little engine that could at the time, Patriots beating the greatest show on turf. Great, right? And then right after that, you had the 0-2 Buccaneers. A lot of storylines there. Ended up beating the Raiders in the Super Bowl that year and ended up scoring 3 touchdowns on defense in that Super Bowl. That one was in San Diego. My dad had tickets. My dad used to work for, as a salesman in San Diego, car dealership, and won the tickets. And I remember, I remember talking to him. He goes, "It looks like I'm going to win these tickets." And he said that because he was very confident that he was going to win them. He didn't know he was going to win them, but he said, I got this." I said, "If the Steelers make it, we're going." It was in what used to be Qualcomm Stadium, aka Jack Murphy Stadium. They had hosted 2 Super Bowls previously. One was Super Bowl 22, and the other was the Bucks versus the Raiders Super Bowl in 2002. The season was 2002, but the year that the Super Bowl was in was 2003. I think it was Super Bowl 37 was that Super Bowl. So Steelers didn't make it. My dad sold the tickets, bought my sister a car, so it all worked out in the end. And I didn't care if I went to the Super Bowl at that time. I just, if the Steelers had gone, I would have wanted to go. But we ended up watching at a bar not too far from the stadium and saw the results. And the Bucks also had a very historic defense that year. So right out of the gate, man, 2 historic defenses, the beginning of the Patriots dynasty, and then after that, you saw back-to-back Patriots Super Bowls. Then my Steelers won in 05. That season was unbelievable. They took Jerome Bettis to Detroit, where he was from, ended up winning a Super Bowl in Detroit, beating the Seahawks in that Super Bowl. And then in 16, Peyton Manning finally wins the Super Bowl. In 07, Eli beats the historic 18-0 Patriots to make them 18-1. And then 08, arguably the greatest Super Bowl of all time. Steelers beat the Cardinals. 2 amazing plays in that game. One was the 100-yard interception return by James Harrison, and the other was the game-winning drive by Ben Roethlisberger and Mr. Santonio Holmes for the toe tap in the corner of the end zone to win that game 27-23. And then the following year, the year that we all thought that Peyton Manning should get his second ring, ended up going New Orleans' way, and Drew Brees ends up winning Super Bowl MVP, having won probably the Hall of Fame clinching game and win with the New Orleans Saints beating the Indianapolis Colts in that Super Bowl. So you had just year after year after year, you had some of the best Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Hall of Fame defenses, some of the more epic games, and really the last decade of real football. So, yeah, I do know a little football. But tonight is Dodger night. Tonight, the Dodgers told, and I'll get to the Kings in 12 and 14, BC. I got some good stories on that one as well. The Dodgers right now, I'm trying to think. The excitement that I feel right now, it's not anything I have felt like this, even as well as they have played in the last 12 years. Because you would think that I would come back and say, well, Joe, which year does this remind you of? Right away, people will start talking about 2017. They'll start talking about 2022. Those years where they won 111 games in 2022, or they were coming back, almost virtually every other game in 2017, and everyone knew that was the Dodger year. No, that's not it. This year reminds me of when Manny came to LA in 2008. That's the feeling I get. The only difference is the bullpen is not that. The bullpen wasn't there. But the excitement and the feeling of we're never going to lose a game. And we have this kind of aura that is around I know he ended up getting popped for steroids, or PED, sorry. You never felt like you were out of the game when Manny got to LA. I didn't feel that in 17, even though they were coming back. But the feeling when you have a guy like Manny Ramirez, when he was on, a guy like Shohei Ohtani, you get this feeling, because it rarely happens in baseball where one singular player can dominate in baseball, because baseball isn't a game that allows the greatest player to dominate. Think about this. The Angels had Ohtani and Mike Trout for 6 years together. They didn't not even sniff a playoff run, not even one. And that's because once you got past those two guys, what else you got? Rendon, who decides to vacation every year or get injured every other week. Your pitching sucks other than Ohtani. You got no shot. You got no shot. And you have the two best players arguably on the same team. Imagine having Shaq and Kobe. Think about this for a second. Imagine having Shaq and Kobe on a team and you don't make the playoffs. That's what Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani was for 6 years. That's tragic. That's why this golden rule thing got thrown around. Although I don't think that would have helped the Angels anyways. You could have batted Ohtani probably twice or 3 times when you wanted him to, and I don't think it would have made a difference. That's how horribly constructed that team is. And that seems to be the case for a lot of these baseball teams. I think the baseball franchise owners are still some of them are still stuck in the archaic kind of way of running a franchise. And everyone seems to think that maybe the salary cap might help. Why? So you can evenly distribute so that other teams can still stink. Remember, folks, baseball has not had a repeat champion since 2000. So parity is still there. No team. You're talking about a quarter of a century since baseball has had a repeat champion. In football, you've had 2. You've had 2 that have repeated since 2000. And you've had a lot of guys win 2 out of 3. So you look at the Patriots in 03 and 04. This is the seasons, by the way, not the year they won the Super Bowl, which is usually past the 1st of January, right? And then the Chiefs won in 23 and 22. So you've had 2 repeat teams in football, and that's supposed to be the evening out, right, league? Only 5, by the way, folks. 5. Imagine this. Only 5 quarterbacks have played in the AFC Championship been in the Super Bowl. 5 since 2. 5 quarterbacks only. I would say that's not really a lot of parity for one conference to have that. So then you look at the NBA. You've had a 3-peat champion in the last 26 years. You had a repeat champion in 09 and 10. You had a repeat champion in 2012, 2013. You had a repeat champion in 2017 and 18. All those salary caps. even though it is a soft cap in the NBA? Come on, man. Get your facts ready. Get your facts straight. Not ready. Sorry. Get your facts straight. Know your shit. Know your shit, because some of us know our shit. Hold on. Let me see here. Jeff just hit me up. Hold on one second. Jeff is still getting a lot of heat from his posts. So I'm going to read some of these for you guys so I can. So one of the guys, I don't know who it is here. This is how you know this fool, and he's talking about Jeff, by the way. This is how you know this fool is a fair weather fan. He doesn't remember Frank McCourt and how the Dodgers were going bankrupt. Good job, new Dodgers fans. And then he also wrote, enjoy your new team, new Dodgers fan. And then Empire Jeff responded with, well, you're for sure a new hater. What type of... I can't say this word. If you guys want to know the word, talk to me after the show. I mean, it is public, so what type of expletive fan are you rooting for the Dodgers and Angels? Super two-way player. So the word starts with BI, and I think he's talking about the fact that someone is a Dodger and Angel fan, which, by the way, that's why I wanted to read this. Guys, I want to make this very clear, okay? If you have friends who say, I am both a Dodger and Angel fan, don't let them be your friend. That doesn't exist. Pick one. What do you mean you're an Angel and a Dodger fan? What the hell does that even mean? It means nothing. That's what it means. And for God's sakes, like, seriously, can you be a Giant and Dodger fan? No. Absolutely not. Stop. At least I'll give you maybe a hair of a reason if you're let's say you live in Orange County or something. But even then, that's dumb. I've never seen a Giant and a Dodger fan, by the way, but I know they're out there because there's always something out there, right? Don't do it. If your friends do this, tell them to pick one. Pick a team. Stop being fans of like 2-3 teams. You're not a fan at that point. To me, it's always one team and one team only. You can support, like, let's say for me, I'll give you an example. When the Chargers were in San Diego, I wanted the Chargers to stay in San Diego. I enjoyed, because I've lived in San Diego a lot of my years here in Southern California, I enjoyed having an NFL team in San Diego. And I wanted the Chargers to continue to exist. And I wanted them to win so they could exist, because there was a lot of rumblings with Dean Spanos and that whole family situation and them possibly moving and their stadium not being approved. I was there for all that crap, and I wanted them to win so they'd stay there. But I wasn't cheering for them. I'm a Steeler fan, man. Can't cheer for anybody else. Care what happens. The only way I lose that is if the Steelers folded. Then I'm done. Even then, I'm done. I can't go cheer for another team. If the Dodgers folded, if the Lakers folded, if the Steelers folded, I'm not going to be a fan of any other team. It's just not. It's not in the books anymore. It's over. That's how I look at it. And I'm maybe a little bit more extreme than most, but that's just kind of how I am. Mark, Joey, are you going to have a chat to Gerald tonight about the Lakers? I don't know. I'll see. I would say if Gerald has a show here in the next 10 minutes or maybe at 11 o'clock, I mean, the plan was to be here for an hour, so there might be a shot where I might be doing a show. I don't know yet. I'll see what happens after the show here. Let's see. Chargers in San Diego was dope. Yeah, man. San Diego still should have an NBA team too. It just you're talking about the fifth largest city in this country, and as wide and as spread out as you could have a big city. By the way, it's like being in a big town. You know, where I used to live was 20 to 25 minutes north of central San Diego, 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes from downtown San Diego, and I was still in the city limits of San Diego. My address was still San Diego. That's how big San Diego was. So the fact that they don't have at least the three major sports, definitely two, is a travesty. It really is. It really, really is. It's unfortunate because had they been able to approve that stadium, they would have had Super Bowls there every 5 to 6 years. It'd be the easiest place to play a Super Bowl, even easier than Texas Stadium. Sorry, Cowboy Stadium. I'm thinking about the old Texas Stadium. Yeah. Well, lost. It was a lost. It was really a lost opportunity to really enjoy football in a beautiful city year in and year out, and then seeing the Super Bowl there every 5 years, 4 years, whatever it would be. The NFL lost there. One of the reasons why I don't like Goodell too, by the way, that was kind of an added bonus. The fact that this clown has continued to uh, he's been able to be lucrative as a commissioner, but he's been a piece of shit everywhere else to me. Search. Okay, Joe, I know the whole city. I worked there 10 years. Yeah, man. I was there from 96 to 09. I would have still been there had I been able to find land that I could buy out there that was reasonable. Right after the mortgage crisis in 09, a lot of the real estate dropped, but not by much. You got a lot of the old houses that were built in the 80s, some in the early 90s. A lot of those houses dropped from like 900,000 down to like 700,000. I was like, dude, I can't afford a 700,000 home, $700,000 home at that time. I said my budget's around 300,000. So me and my wife ended up finding a good spot in Temecula. There was a lot of good homes out there in 2009 that were selling for anywhere between 270, 280 to like 320. So right around there. I said, as long as we can find some that's in the 300 and has a 3-car garage without an HOA, boom. We ended up finding one, and the rest is history. However, if I could move my house to San Diego, like if I could literally move it and have the land that I have there, I have a third of an acre out here in Temecula. I'd be like, shoot, I'd snap it in a heartbeat. I would snap, heartbeat, be down in Diego again. That's my spot. Still plan on being there, by the way, in some capacity. Maybe not as a primary, because I do like my land out here, and the wife and the family really like it out here as well. And it's good here. You know, it's not as I say hectic. It's like kind of like another smaller town, but you can kind of get everywhere you want. It's kind of centralized. I can get to Palm Springs in an hour. I can get to LA in an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on which part of LA. I can get to Orange County in 50 minutes. I can get to San Diego in 50 minutes. So it's actually a central area that's really good. And that's usually a good thing to have, especially when you're right in the middle of everything. Even like where the snow is, where you can ski. Che, what's up, brother? Chargers remind me of the Clippers franchise. At least they made one Super Bowl, while the Clippers have yet to make an NBA. See, I never really. The Chargers became the Clippers, the Angels, when they went to LA. When they were in San Diego, they were their own entity. They you could never consider them the Clippers, and even the Clippers weren't the Clippers until they moved to LA. You know, if they had stayed in San Diego, they would have had their own identity. That's the sad part. That's the sad part. It really is. I passed by the sports arena. Not right now. I think it's called, I don't know, Morango or Viejas or one of those casino stupid names. And I don't know what they do in there. I don't know. They hold concerts, whatever it is that they do over there. Every time I pass by there, man, I always think, man, imagine if they were able to build a new basketball place here. I mean, it is in the perfect place too. Absolute perfect place to go watch basketball. My sister lives like 2 minutes from there, and the freeways are all like perfect to get in there, and the parking would be like an 18,000 person stadium right in that area. Man, it would be money to watch basketball there. Unfortunately, you know, it's just they tried twice and it didn't work. One was the San Diego Rockets, the other was the San Diego Clippers, and they just weren't able to make it work over there. If I somehow got an IPO that blew up and I became like $10 billion, I would totally campaign to buy a team and move them to San Diego or get an expansion team out in San Diego. But it is what it is. Definitely in football too, by the way. If I was able to go talk to the Spanos to see if I can get that damn team and move them back to San Diego. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to go back to let's see, Craig. Yes, Braves started in Buffalo. Bob McAdoo was MVP. Yeah, but we believe it was the Buffalo Braves, and then they turned into the San Diego Clippers, right? Right, Craig? If I remember correctly. Is that what happened? Um, yeah, it was the second try that they had, and Sterling bought that team after he helped Bus years later. Uh, he helped Bus. I think he loaned them $1 million to finish off the purchase of the Lakers, and then I think it was 4 years later is when Donald Sterling bought the San Diego Clippers and then moved them to LA. Okay, when the Lakers got Bob, it was insane. Yeah, Bob McAdoo. What would be the equivalent of Bob McAdoo today? Let's see. Who was a former MVP that helped the Lakers win a championship? I don't know if there's an equivalent to that, but it was like getting. It was sort of like getting Horace Grant that in that 2001 season. Horace Grant had one last good season, and that was 2001. He was okay in 2002. Couldn't make it. His body finally broke down in 04. And all our power forwards died in 2004. Oh, that's a good one, Craig. That's a good one. So not the Lakers, but um, Bill Walton. Bill Walton in '86 was like the Bob. He ended up being better for the Celtics because he ended up winning Sixth Man of the Year in '86. But Bill Walton was like the Bob McAdoo, but for the Celtics in '86. And former kind of MVP, former NBA great, helping his second or whatever his secondary team as a role player to win championships. So yeah, that's it. But going back to the Dodgers before we head out here, for those of you who've chimed in a little bit later, Dodgers were down 5-0 after 2. And of course, the Dodgers do what they do, eke away at that deficit. Little by little, went from 0-5 to 2-5 to 3-5. And then in the 8th inning, got tied 5-5, only to set up the dramatics with Bobble Night, Shohei Ohtani Night, with Shohei in the bottom of the 9th with 1 out, takes the first pitch and sends it to the stands for the walk-off, and the Dodgers go 8-0 to start the season. Yes, the Dodgers are him, they are her, they are they, and they are them. And it's just something that we're going to just have to enjoy and keep rolling with, man. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to watch. And I've watched every single game, folks. I watched every single game, including spring training games. Now, I did miss one game technically, but that wasn't televised. That was the split team on one of the days that they were out there. I think it was in Peoria, or at least one of them went to Peoria. The other one was still in Camelback. But I've seen every televised game, or I've seen one live in spring spring training, and of course I've seen all the regular season games here so far. And I had said before the season started, I said I was going to watch every single game this year, all spring training games, all regular season games, and so far so good. And the Dodgers haven't they just haven't disappointed, and I'm just very excited to watch the remaining 154 left. There was a time where there was 154 games in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers have started 8-0, and now we'll get back to the old schedule of 154, and we're going to get a chance to see if the Dodgers can break the all-time regular season record done up by the 2001 Seattle Mariners and the 1906 Chicago Cubs. Both won 116 games in those years. Unfortunately for both those teams, they did not win the championship that year. However, the best team I've ever seen, and arguably the best team that was ever put together, although the 27 Yankees have an argument, and there's some other teams too, but those are the two that I've always heard, according to the consensus of baseball people. The 1998 New York Yankees won 114 games in 1998 and ended up winning 11 games to finish off that year, winning the championship. Finished that season after 175 games, 125-50. For me, that's the record I want, because that record means more than the regular season record because it ended with a title. If they don't end it with a title, no matter what they do, all they are is the 2016 Golden State Warriors. And that's just not something that I want to live in. I don't want to live in that world. I do not want to live in a world where they kill it and then come up short in the end. I don't want them to be the New England Patriots in 2007. I do not want that. I would rather them go 100 wins on the dot and win it all. I don't care. I don't care if they lose 62 games this year and still win a title. Win the title by any means necessary. And please get everyone healthy. Not that it sort of matters, but I want to see if everybody can get healthy here, like Friedman and the boys, so they can all play together so that we can really, really kind of see what this ends up being. But until then, I'll be chiming in here, obviously, day in and day out, every other day. We'll see how things play out tonight. I wasn't planning on having a show, but the show made sure we had to have a show, and that is Shohei Ohtani. And of course, my people were asking, and I can't say no to you guys. You guys are my people, man. What you want, I gotta give you. That's the whole point here. So, wanted to thank you all for being here tonight on an impromptu show. I will be back either tomorrow or Friday. I have not yet figured out what my schedule is going to be, but you will know. So please like, subscribe, and make sure you click on the notified bell so that when I do set up a show, you guys will be notified, so you'll know when it is. I'm going to try to get to that much quicker in terms of getting a show ready so you guys know it's coming. And until then, I want you to have a good night, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you are. And until next time, I will see you next time.